Every strand of hair holds a memory, a silent record of the sun and the moon it has seen. But there is one story, older than all the rest, that is only ever told in the quiet space between the blade and the skin. As our story unfolds, if you find this quiet space comforting, a gentle press of the like button shares this piece. To continue these journeys into the past, feel free to subscribe. There are no loud alerts here, only the steady rhythm of time. The darkness in the room is not complete. It is a soft, deep grey, the color of a river stone smoothed by 1,000 years of water. A faint silver light begins to touch the edges of the single wooden shutter, a promise of the morning that is still far away. This is the hour before the birds begin to sing. It is the time when the city of Rome holds its breath, resting from the noise and heat of the day before. The great city is a sleeping giant, its marble heart beating slowly and quietly. In a small room, on a simple straw mattress, a man named Lucius begins to stir. He does not wake with a start. His awakening is slow, like a leaf unfurling. It is a gentle return from the world of dreams to the world of wood and stone. The air in the room is cool and still. It carries the faint scent of dried lavender and the clean smell of linen. Lucius breathes in slowly, his first conscious breath of the new day. He can feel the rough texture of his wool blanket against his skin. His eyes are still closed, but he can see the room in his mind. He knows every crack in the plaster walls, every worn spot on the wooden floor. This small space is his world, his sanctuary from the bustling city outside. He lies still for a long time, simply listening. At first, there is only silence, but then he begins to hear the small sounds, the soft rustle of the mattress as he shifts his weight, the distant, lonely call of a night watchman in a far-off street. These sounds are familiar. They are the music of his morning, the first notes in the symphony of his day. He does not rush to rise. This quiet time is precious. It is a time for gathering his thoughts, for preparing himself for the work ahead. His work is one of detail, of patience, of a steady hand. He is a tonsor, a barber. His shop is a place of transformation, a place where men come to shed the old and embrace the new. His razor is his art, his shop is his stage. He thinks about the tools of his trade, resting in their wooden box in the corner, the sharp razors, honed to a perfect edge, the smooth combs made of bone, the soft brushes and the fragrant oils. Each tool has its purpose, its own small story. The silver light at the edge of the shutter grows a little brighter. It is no longer just a line, but a soft glow. The darkness in the room is beginning to retreat, turning from deep grey to a lighter shade, like the color of a dove's wing. Lucius knows the light. He has watched it change every morning for years. He can tell the time of day just by the quality of the light, by the way it falls upon the wall. This is the light of the hour before dawn, the light of new beginnings. He imagines the city waking up. He sees the bakers already at their ovens, the warm smell of bread beginning to fill the air. He sees the farmers bringing their carts into the city, their produce fresh with morning dew. Rome is a living thing, and he is a small part of its life. His own life is simple, but it has a rhythm. It is a rhythm of work and rest, of conversation and silence. He finds a deep satisfaction in this rhythm. in the predictability of his days. It is a quiet kind of happiness. He listens again, and now he can hear a new sound. It is the first bird singing its lonely song from a nearby rooftop. Its notes are clear and pure in the still air. One by one, other birds begin to join in, creating a chorus of welcome for the coming day. The bird song is a signal. It is time to begin. The city is stirring, and soon his clients will arrive. They will come seeking a clean shave, a neat trim, a moment of peace in their busy lives, and he will be there to provide it. With a slow, deliberate movement, Lucius pushes back the wool blanket. The cool air touches his skin. He swings his legs over the side of the simple bed, his bare feet touching the cool, smooth wood of the floor. He sits for a moment on the edge of the bed, his head bowed. He is not praying, but he is in a state of quiet reflection. He gives thanks for the night's rest, for the peace of the morning, and for the work that awaits him. His body is not young, but it is strong. His hands are his most important asset. They are calloused and steady, hands that have held a razor for thousands of hours. They are hands that know the contours of a man's face, the texture of his hair. He stretches his arms above his head, feeling the muscles in his back and shoulders awaken. He rotates his neck slowly, first to the left, then to the right. He is preparing his body for the long day of standing, of careful work. The room is now filled with a soft, grey light. The shapes of the furniture are clear now. The small wooden table, the single chair, the chest where he keeps his clothes. Everything is simple, functional, and clean. He thinks of the water in the clay pitcher on the table. It will be cold and fresh. He looks forward to the feeling of it on his face, a shock of cold that will wash away the last traces of sleep. It is a small pleasure, but an important one. The world outside is still quiet, but it is a different kind of quiet now. It is the quiet of anticipation, the quiet before the city truly comes alive. The air is filled with a sense of possibility, of a day that is fresh and new. Lucius stands up, his movements unhurried. He walks across the small room to the window and pushes open the wooden shutter. The cool morning air rushes in, carrying the scent of damp earth and the distant smell of wood smoke. He looks out over the rooftops of Rome. The sky is a deep, bruised purple, with streaks of orange and pink beginning to appear on the eastern horizon. The city is a sea of terracotta tiles and shadowed alleyways. It is beautiful in its own quiet way. He can see the smoke rising from the chimneys of the public baths, where the fires are being stoked for the day. He can hear the faint clatter of a cart on a cobblestone street far below. The city is waking up, and so is he. He is ready for the day. He is ready for the feel of the razor in his hand, the sound of scissors snipping, the smell of warm oils. He is ready for the stories and the silences of his small shop. He is a Roman barber, and his day is about to begin. This is his life, a life of simple rituals and quiet dignity. He turns from the window, his heart calm and his mind clear. He is at peace with his place in the world. The first light of dawn has found him, and he is ready to meet it. The water in the clay pitcher is cold, just as he knew it would be. Lucius pours some into a shallow bowl, the sound of it splashing softly in the quiet room. He watches the ripples spread out from the center, a perfect, fleeting pattern. He cups the water in his hands and brings it to his face. The shock of the cold is immediate and welcome. It chases away the last remnants of sleep, sharpening his senses. He feels more awake, more present in the moment. He washes his face carefully, methodically. This is not a rushed act, but a deliberate ritual. He uses a small piece of coarse linen to scrub his skin, feeling the circulation return to his cheeks. It is a simple act of purification, of preparing for the day. The water feels clean and pure. It comes from the great aqueducts that feed the city, a marvel of engineering that brings life to Rome. Lucius often thinks about the journey this water has taken from distant mountains to his small room. After washing his face, he takes a small wooden comb and runs it through his own hair. It is thick and graying at the temples, a testament to his years. He keeps it short and neat, just as his clients expect. A barber must be his own best advertisement. He dresses simply in a clean linen tunic that falls to his knees. The fabric is cool against his skin. He fastens a leather belt around his waist, the familiar weight of it a comfort. His clothes are practical, allowing him to move freely as he works. On his feet, he wears simple leather sandals. They are worn and soft, molded to the shape of his feet over many years. They make little sound on the wooden floor as he moves about the room. His morning meal is simple as well. He breaks off a piece of hard, dark bread from a small loaf on the table. He dips the bread into a bowl of olive oil, the golden liquid soaking into the coarse crumb. The taste is nutty and rich. He eats slowly, savoring each bite. He does not think about the work ahead or the worries of the world. He focuses only on the taste of the bread, the texture of the oil. This mindful eating is another part of his ritual, a way of grounding himself in the present. He drinks a cup of water, the same cool water he used to wash his face. It quenches his thirst and cleanses his palate. He feels nourished, ready for the energy his work will require. With his meal finished, he turns his attention to the most important part of his morning preparation. He walks to the corner of the room where a sturdy wooden chest rests. This chest holds the tools of his trade. He lifts the heavy lid, the scent of wheel-oiled metal and aged wood rising to meet him. Inside, his tools are laid out in perfect order, each in its designated place. This is his treasure, the source of his livelihood. There are the razors, the naveculae. He has several, each with a handle of carved bone or dark wood. The blades are made of fine steel, kept sharp enough to glide across the skin without a pull. He runs his thumb gently over the back of a blade, feeling its perfect, cold smoothness. He inspects each razor with a critical eye, checking for any nicks or imperfections. A flawless blade is essential for a good shave. He takes a long strip of leather, his strop, which hangs from a hook on the wall. He begins the process of stropping the razor. The sound is rhythmic and hypnotic, the whisper of steel against leather, back and forth, back and forth. It is a sound he has created every morning for decades. It is the sound of preparation, of readiness. He works with focused concentration, his hands moving with an economy of motion that comes from years of practice. Each stroke on the leather refines the edge of the blade, bringing it to a state of perfect sharpness. This is a meditation for him, a quiet and focused task. Beside the razors are his scissors, the forfix. They are small and precise, made of bronze. He opens and closes them, listening to the clean, crisp snip of the blades meeting. They are perfect for trimming beards and shaping hair. There are combs of various sizes, carved from boxwood and bone. Their teeth are smooth and polished, designed to move through hair without snagging. He runs his finger along the teeth of one, ensuring they are clean and whole. He has small jars of ointments and oils. Some are for softening the beard before a shave, made with olive oil and fragrant herbs. Others are for soothing the skin after, with scents of lavender or chamomile. He opens one jar, and the calming scent fills the small room. There are soft brushes made from badger hair, used for lathering the soap. There are tweezers for plucking stray hairs, and small, curved blades for more delicate work around the ears and nose. Each tool is clean, polished, and ready. He feels a sense of pride as he looks at his tools. They are an extension of his own hands, his own skill. They connect him to his father, who was also a barber, and who taught him how to care for them. These tools carry the weight of tradition. Once he is satisfied that every razor is perfectly sharp, every tool in its place, he closes the lid of the chest. The quiet click of the latch is a sound of finality. His personal preparations are complete. Now it is time to prepare his shop. He takes a small oil lamp from the table. The wick is trimmed, and the reservoir is full. He strikes a flint against steel, and a small spark catches on a piece of tinder. He gently blows on it until it glows, then lights the lamp's wick. A warm, golden light fills the room, pushing back the grey morning shadows. The flame dances and flickers, casting moving shapes on the walls. The room feels warmer now, more alive. Carrying the lamp, he walks to the door of his small apartment. He slides back the simple wooden bolt, the sound of it echoing in the quiet. He opens the door and steps out into the cool air of the covered walkway. His home is on the second floor of an insula, a large apartment building. Below him, the central courtyard is still in shadow. The building is waking up, and he can hear the faint sounds of his neighbors beginning their own morning rituals. He walks along the walkway to a steep flight of stone stairs that leads down to the street level. His shop is on the ground floor, facing the street. This is a convenience that he is grateful for every day. He descends the stairs carefully, the lamplight throwing his shadow long against the wall. The air here is different. It smells of the city, of dust, of cooking fires, of the nearby river. It is the smell of his life, the smell of Rome. At the bottom of the stairs, he reaches the heavy wooden door of his tonsorina, his shop. He takes a large iron key from a pouch on his belt. The key is old and heavy in his hand. He fits the key into the lock. The mechanism is stiff, and it takes a firm turn to open it. The sound of the tumblers falling into place is loud in the morning quiet. It is the sound of the day officially beginning. He pushes the door open and steps inside, holding the lamp high. The small shop is dark and still, a world waiting to be brought to life. He has crossed the threshold from his private life to his public one. He is no longer just Lucius. He is Lucius, the tonsor, and his work is about to begin. The familiar scent of soap, oil, and cut hair greets him like an old friend. The air inside the shop is cool and still, holding the silence of the night. The single room is small and simple. It is a place of function, not of luxury. The lamplight flickers across the plastered walls, revealing a space that is impeccably clean and organized. Lucius places the oil lamp on a small wooden counter near the back. Its warm glow pushes against the shadows, but the corners of the room remain dark. His first task is to bring in the light of the new day. He moves to the front of the shop, where large wooden shutters cover the wide opening to the street. These shutters protect his shop at night and keep it cool during the heat of the day. He unlatches the heavy crossbar that holds them in place. With a familiar groan of wood against wood, he swings the two large shutters open. The grey morning light floods into the room, instantly transforming the space. The darkness dissolves, and the details of the shop become clear. The light reveals the worn but clean stone floor. It shows the simple wooden bench against one wall, where clients will wait their turn. It illuminates the single barber's chair, the center of this small world. The chair is made of sturdy wood, with a high back and a place for a man to rest his head. It is not comfortable, but it is practical. It positions the client perfectly for his work. The wood is dark and polished smooth by the clothes of countless men who have sat in it. He looks out into the street. The city is still waking. A few early workers hurry past, their footsteps echoing on the cobblestones. A stray dog sniffs at a corner, its tail low. The air is fresh, not yet filled with the heat and dust of midday. Lucius breathes in the morning air. He enjoys this quiet moment before the first client arrives. It is a moment of peace, a chance to prepare the space for the day ahead. He turns back into the shop and begins his opening routine. He takes a clean, damp cloth and wipes down the barber's chair, removing any dust that may have settled overnight. He wipes the wooden bench and a small counter as well. Everything must be clean. A clean shop shows respect for his clients and for his craft. It is a sign of a careful and professional tonsor. His father taught him that cleanliness is as important as a sharp razor. Next, he brings out a small basin of fresh water and places it on a stand next to the chair. He will use this water throughout the day to rinse his razors and his hands. He refills it often to keep it clean. He then arranges his tools. He does not bring out the entire chest, only what he will need for the first few clients. He lays a clean linen cloth on the counter and places two of his sharpest razors upon it. He sets out a small pot of shaving soap. It is a simple soap made from animal fat and ash, but he adds a few drops of lavender oil to give it a pleasant, calming scent. The smell of lavender begins to fill the small shop. He places a soft badger hair brush next to the soap, its bristles clean and dry. He sets out a stack of fresh linen towels, folded neatly. These small details matter. They create an atmosphere of care and comfort. He also brings out a small bronze mirror. It is polished to a high shine. Clients will use this to inspect his work, to see the results of his steady hand. He hangs it on a hook on the wall where the light is best. The shop is almost ready. There is one final touch. From a small clay jar, he takes a pinch of dried herbs. It is a mixture of rosemary and mint. He scatters these herbs on the stone floor. As he and his clients walk on them throughout the day, the herbs will be crushed, releasing their fresh, clean scent. This is an old barber's trick to keep the shop smelling pleasant, to cover the smells of the street and the heat of the body. The scent of rosemary and mint now mingles with the lavender from the soap. The shop smells clean, calm, and inviting. It is a small oasis of order in the chaotic city. Lucius stands in the center of the room and looks around. Everything is in its place. The tools are ready. The water is fresh. The light is good. He feels a sense of quiet satisfaction. This is his domain, his kingdom. He walks to the open front of the shop and stands for a moment, looking out at the street. More people are moving about now. The baker across the way is pulling the first loaves of bread from his oven. The warm, yeasty smell drifting across the cobblestones. He sees a neighbor sweeping the step in front of her door. She sees him and nods a silent greeting. He nods back. They are part of the same small community, this network of shops and homes that make up their corner of Rome. He hears the distant sound of a hammer on metal from the blacksmith's forge down the street. He hears the voices of children calling to one another as they begin their day. The city's symphony is growing louder. He is not just a barber. He is a part of this neighborhood. His shop is a gathering place, a place where news is exchanged, where stories are told. Men come for a shave, but they also come for the conversation, for the sense of community. He knows the lives of his regular clients. He knows about their families, their work, their worries. He listens more than he talks, offering a sympathetic ear and a steady hand. His role is part doctor, part confidant, part artist. He wonders who his first client of the day will be. Perhaps it will be Marcus, the soldier from the nearby barracks, always early and always in a hurry. Or maybe it will be old Flavius, the retired merchant who likes to talk about the politics of the Senate. Each client is different. Each shave is a unique challenge. The texture of the beard, the shape of the face, the sensitivity of the skin. He must adapt his technique for each one. It is what makes his work interesting. He feels a small thrill of anticipation. He loves his work. He loves the feeling of the sharp blade in his hand, the satisfaction of a perfectly smooth shave. He loves the quiet trust that his clients place in him. He adjusts the simple sign that hangs outside his shop. It is a small wooden board painted with the image of a razor and a pair of scissors. There are no words. Everyone knows what the sign means. He has done everything he can to prepare. The rest of the day is in the hands of fate. He will take what comes, one client at a time. He will offer his skill, his patience, and his quiet presence. He steps back inside the shop, out of the direct morning light. He stands near the chair, his hands resting on its high back. He is a silent sentinel, waiting. The shop is a small pool of quiet, ready to receive the first ripple of the day. The sounds from the street grow more frequent. A cart rumbles past, its wooden wheels clattering on the stones. A group of men laugh loudly as they walk by. The day is no longer beginning. It has begun. And now he sees a familiar figure walking down the street, his military cloak swinging with his long strides. It is Marcus, the soldier. The day's work is about to start. Marcus the soldier steps into the shop, bringing a gust of cool morning air with him. He is a young man, but his face is already hardened by the sun and the discipline of military life. He carries himself with a straight-backed confidence. "Lucius," he says, his voice a low rumble. He offers a short, sharp nod instead of a smile. Soldiers are not known for their outward displays of emotion. Marcus Lucius replies with a calm nod of his own. "You are early. As always, the sun has barely cleared the rooftops." He gestures towards the barber's chair. Marcus unclasps the heavy bronze pin of his cloak and drapes the thick wool garment over the bench. Beneath it, he wears a simple tunic and leather armor that has seen much use. He sits in the chair, his movements efficient and precise. An inspection, Marcus says. By way of explanation, the centurion wants us looking sharp. No stray hairs, no rough chins. He leans his head back, exposing his neck. This is an act of profound trust. Lucius understands. A soldier's appearance is a reflection of his discipline. A clean shave is not a matter of vanity, but of duty. He takes a clean linen towel from the stack and drapes it carefully around Marcus's neck, tucking it into the collar of his tunic to protect it from soap and water. He does not rush. He moves with a deliberate, calming rhythm. His quiet confidence helps to put his clients at ease. Even a hardened soldier like Marcus C. He takes the small pot of lavender-scented soap and his badger hair brush. He dips the brush into the basin of warm water, then swirls it in the soap, working up a thick, creamy lather. The soft scent of lavender fills the air around the chair. He begins to apply the lather to Marcus's face, using gentle, circular motions. The soft bristles of the brush feel pleasant against the skin. He covers the soldier's jaw, his cheeks, and his upper lip, the white foam standing out against his sun-tanned skin. The lather serves two purposes. It softens the tough bristles of the beard, making them easier to cut. It also provides a protective layer, allowing the razor to glide smoothly and preventing nicks and cuts. Lucius works the lather in for a full minute, his hands moving with practiced ease. He is silent as he works, allowing the quiet of the shop to do its work. Marcus closes his eyes, a small sigh escaping his lips. For a soldier, a moment of quiet and gentle touch is a rare luxury. With the lather applied, Lucius picks up his first razor. The steel is cool in his hand. The edge is perfect. He holds it with a light but firm grip, his fingers positioned just so. This grip gives him maximum control over the blade. He wipes the razor on a clean cloth and approaches the soldier's face. He starts with the right cheek, the easiest and flattest area. He gently pulls the skin taut with the fingers of his free hand, creating a smooth surface for the blade. He sets the razor against the skin at the perfect angle. This is the secret of a good shave, something that can only be learned through years of practice. Too steep and the blade will scrape and irritate. Too shallow and it will not cut the hair cleanly. With a long, steady stroke, he draws the razor down the cheek. The sound is a quiet, satisfying rasp, the sound of the blade slicing through the softened stubble. He leaves behind a path of perfectly smooth, clean skin. He continues this process, stroke by careful stroke. He works in a methodical pattern, moving from the cheeks to the chin, then to the more difficult areas around the mouth and nose. Each movement is precise and controlled. He rinses the razor in the basin of water after every few strokes, washing away the foam and the cut hair. The water in the basin clouds with white and grey. This, too, is part of the rhythm of his work. Marcus remains perfectly still, his breathing deep and even. He has complete faith in Lucius's skill. He knows that the hand holding the razor is as steady as a rock. He can relax, letting go of the tension he carries in his shoulders and neck. The upper lip is a delicate area. Lucius uses shorter, more careful strokes, his touch as light as a feather. He works with intense focus, his eyes never leaving the path of the blade. The world outside the shop disappears. There is only the man in the chair, the razor in his hand, and the task at hand. Finally, he comes to the neck. This is the most dangerous part of the shave. The skin is soft, and a slip of the hand here could have serious consequences. Lucius has his client tilt his head back further, exposing the throat. He applies fresh, warm lather. He pulls the skin taut. His strokes are even lighter here, following the grain of the hair's growth. The razor whispers across the skin, leaving it smooth and untouched by any redness or irritation. When the last patch of stubble is gone, Lucius sets the razor down. The first part of his work is complete. He takes a warm, damp towel from a small pot of heated water he keeps on a brazier. He wrings it out and gently wraps it around Marcus's face. The warmth of the towel is soothing. It opens the pores and removes any remaining traces of soap. Marcus lets out another soft sigh, the sound of pure contentment. He looks even younger now, with his face clean-shaven and relaxed. After a minute, Lucius removes the warm towel. He then takes a second towel, this one cool and damp, and pats the soldier's skin. The coolness closes the pores and refreshes the skin, a bracing finish to the shave. He inspects his work, turning Marcus's head from side to side. The shave is perfect. Not a single stray hair remains. The skin is smooth and healthy. He feels a quiet pride in a job well done. He untucks the towel from around the soldier's neck. Marcus sits up, running a hand over his own jaw. His rough fingers feel the impossible smoothness of his skin. A rare, small smile touches his lips. "Good work, Lucius," he says. "The centurion will be pleased." He reaches for the small coin purse at his belt. "The pleasure is mine, Marcus," Lucius replies. He begins cleaning his tools, wiping the razor dry and placing it back on the linen cloth. He empties the basin of used water into a bucket, then refills it with fresh water. Marcus places a few small bronze coins on the counter. It is the standard price for a shave, a fair price for a skilled service. He stands up and puts on his heavy cloak, once again becoming the stern soldier. He pauses at the entrance to the shop. "There is talk," he says, his voice low. "Talk of new legions being sent to the northern frontier. It may be a long and difficult campaign." Lucius stops his cleaning and looks at the young man. This is the other part of his job. The shop is a place where news, both public and personal, is shared. "Be safe, Marcus," he says simply. The soldier gives another sharp nod. "I always am," he says, though they both know the risks. He turns and strides out into the street, disappearing into the growing crowds of the morning. Lucius watches him go. He thinks of the smooth skin of the young man's face and the dangerous life he leads. He sends a silent wish for his safety. He has shaved many soldiers over the years. Some of them never came back. He turns his attention back to his shop. He wipes the chair clean, ready for the next client. He straightens the towels. The encounter with Marcus has passed. The day is still young. He stands by his chair, a quiet figure in a pool of morning light, waiting for the next person to enter his small world of steel, soap, and silence. The sun has risen higher in the sky now, and its light streams more directly into the shop. It illuminates the tiny dust motes dancing in the air, each one a tiny world of its own. The sounds from the street have grown into a constant, low roar. The heartbeat of Rome, the shop, however, remains a pocket of calm. The clean, sharp scent of the crushed rosemary and mint on the floor is a constant, pleasant presence. It is a smell that Lucius has associated with his work for his entire life. His second client of the day has just left, a talkative merchant who complained about the price of grain. Now the shop is empty again. Lucius uses these quiet moments to prepare for the next wave of customers. He turns his attention to his collection of oils and ointments. These are an important part of his trade, just as important as the razors and scissors. They are what elevates a simple haircut or shave into a more luxurious experience. The oils are kept in small, stoppered clay jars on a shelf behind his counter. Each jar is carefully labeled with simple markings that only he can understand. He takes down a few of the jars, their surfaces cool and smooth to the touch. He opens the first jar, and a rich, earthy scent of olive oil fills the air. This is his base oil, the foundation for many of his preparations. He uses only the finest oil, the kind that is clear and golden. He pours a small amount of the olive oil into a shallow bronze bowl. He will use this to create a special aftershave treatment for a client he is expecting later, a wealthy senator who appreciates the finer things. He opens another, smaller jar. This one contains oil of chamomile. The scent is sweet and apple-like, known for its calming properties. It is excellent for soothing skin that is prone to irritation. Using a small wooden stick, he allows a few precious drops of the chamomile oil to fall into the bowl of olive oil. He watches as the two oils swirl together, the lighter chamomile oil creating delicate patterns on the surface of the golden olive oil. He takes a third jar. This one holds oil of lavender, the same scent he uses in his shaving soap. Lavender is clean and fresh, and it is said to promote a sense of well-being. He adds a few drops of this to the bowl as well. He gently stirs the mixture with the wooden stick. The different scents combine, creating a unique fragrance that is both calming and refreshing. It is a scent of his own creation, a signature of his shop. He sets the bowl aside, allowing the oils to meld together. This mixture will be gently massaged into the client's skin after the shave, leaving it soft, smooth, and fragrant. It is a touch of luxury that sets him apart from less skilled barbers. Not all of his preparations are for the face. He also tends to his client's hair. For this, he uses different kinds of treatments. He takes down another jar, this one containing a thick, waxy substance. This is a pomade made from beeswax and scented with rosemary. It is used to style hair, to keep it in place, and to give it a healthy shine. He takes a small amount on his finger. It is smooth and fragrant. He remembers his father teaching him how to make this pomade. They would render the beeswax themselves, a long and slow process. They would gather the rosemary from their small herb garden. The memory makes him smile. He also has powders kept in small lidded pots. One is a fine, white powder made from ground rice. It is used to absorb excess oil from the skin and to give the face a pale, matte finish, which is fashionable among the wealthy. Another powder is a light brown color, made from ground clay. It is used to add volume and texture to thinning hair, a common concern for his older clients. He uses these powders sparingly, applying them with a soft brush made of goat hair. He inspects his supply of herbs. He has small bundles of dried lavender, chamomile flowers, and rosemary hanging from the rafters. The shop is a place of natural scents, a contrast to the often unpleasant smells of the city streets. He believes that these scents have power. They can calm a nervous client, refresh a tired one, and leave a lasting impression of quality and care. The experience in his shop is not just about what the client sees, but also about what he smells and feels. A young boy, an apprentice from the bakery across the street, appears at the entrance of the shop. He is holding a small, steaming cup. "For you, Lucius," the boy says, holding it out. "From my master," Lucius smiles. It is a cup of posca, a refreshing drink made from water, vinegar, and herbs. The baker often sends one over in the mid-morning. It is a small gesture of friendship between neighbors. "Thank you, Leo," Lucius says, taking the cup. "Tell your master I am grateful." The boy nods and runs back across the street, disappearing into the warm, fragrant world of the bakery. Lucius sips the posca. It is sharp and tangy, and it cuts through the dust in his throat. He stands in the doorway of his shop, sipping the drink and watching the life of the street unfold. He sees a group of senators in their white togas, walking slowly and speaking in low, serious tones. He sees a merchant haggling loudly with a customer over the price of a bolt of cloth. He sees children chasing a dog, their laughter bright and carefree. All of these people, from the highest senator to the smallest child, have hair that grows. They all have skin that needs care. In his own small way, he is connected to all of them. His craft is a universal one. He finishes the posca and places the empty cup on his counter. He feels refreshed and ready for the next client. The quiet interlude has been pleasant, but he is a man of action. He prefers the feeling of his tools in his hand. He picks up the bowl of scented oil he prepared earlier. He inhales its fragrance deeply. It is a good mixture. The senador will be pleased. He covers the bowl with a small cloth to keep the dust out. He glances at his reflection in the polished bronze mirror on the wall. He sees a man in the middle of his years. His face is lined, but his eyes are clear. His expression is one of calm competence. He is content with his work, with his life. The world of Rome is a world of great ambition, of power and wealth and conquest. But it is also a world of small shops, of simple craftsmen, of daily rituals. Lucius knows his place is in this second world, and he would not trade it for any other. The scents of his shop are the scents of his life. Olive oil, lavender, rosemary, mint, the clean smell of soap and the metallic tongues of steel. These are the smells of service, of care, of a job done with pride. He hears footsteps approaching, slow and measured. He looks up and sees an old man, leaning on a walking stick, making his way towards the shop. It is Flavius, the retired merchant. He is here for his weekly trim and a good long talk. Lucius sets down his oils and prepares a fresh towel. The quiet time is over. The work continues. The fragrant air of his shop swirls as the old man enters, ready to receive the next client and the stories he brings with him. Flavius, the merchant, shuffles into the shop, his wooden walking stick tapping a slow, steady rhythm on the stone floor. He is a man whose face is a map of his long life, with deep lines around his eyes and mouth. But his eyes are still sharp and full of curiosity. "Lucius, my friend," Flavius says, his voice thin but clear, "the sun is warm today. My old bones feel it." He leans his walking stick against the bench and lowers himself carefully into the barber's chair. "It is good to see you, Flavius," Lucius replies, his voice gentle. He takes a clean towel and drapes it around the old man's shoulders. Flavius has been a client for over 20 years. Their relationship is more like a friendship than a business transaction. "Just a trim today," Flavius says, running a shaky hand through his thin, white hair. "Make me look respectable. I am having dinner with my daughter tonight. I do not want her to think I am letting myself go." Lucius smiles. "You always look respectable, Flavius." He takes his scissors and a fine-toothed comb. Unlike the quick, efficient shave for Marcus the soldier, this will be a slow and meticulous process. As Lucius begins to comb the old man's hair, Flavius starts to talk. This is part of their ritual. Lucius works, and Flavius shares the news and gossip he has gathered from his many connections in the city. Senator Piso was seen coming from the house of a well-known actress late last night, Flavius says, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. His wife is visiting her family in Pompeii. You can imagine the talk it is causing. Lucius makes a non-committal sound, a soft hum in his throat. He does not offer his own opinions. His role is to listen, to be a trustworthy keeper of the city's secrets. The snip-snip of his scissors is a steady counterpoint to Flavius's words. He works carefully, lifting small sections of the fine white hair with the comb and trimming the ends with the tips of his scissors. His movements are precise, born of long practice. He is focused on his work, but his ears are open. "And they say the emperor is planning a new tax," Flavius continues, his voice rising with indignation. "A tax on windows. Can you believe the nerve? As if the air we breathe is not free anymore." Lucius continues to trim, moving around the chair to work on the other side of Flavius's head. He knows that in his shop he hears a version of the truth that is different from the official proclamations read in the forum. He hears how politics affect the real lives of the people. The sound of the scissors is soft and rhythmic. It is a comforting sound, one that encourages conversation. The shop is a safe space, a place where men can speak their minds without fear of judgment. "But the real news," Flavius says, leaning forward slightly, "is about the grain shipments from Egypt. My sources tell me the fleet has been delayed by storms. The price of bread will rise again. It will be hard on the poor." This is news that affects Lucius directly. He thinks of the simple loaf of bread he ate for his morning meal. He thinks of Leo, the baker's apprentice. He snips a stray hair from around Flavius's ear, his movements as steady as ever. But his mind is processing this new information. He uses a smaller pair of scissors to trim the old man's eyebrows, which have grown wild. His touch is light and careful. Flavius barely seems to notice, so engrossed is he in his storytelling. "It is all because of General Drusus," Flavius says, shaking his head. "He is in charge of the port at Alexandria. They say he is more interested in lining his own pockets than in ensuring the grain ships sail on time. A corrupt man, if you ask me." Lucius remains silent. He has learned that it is wise for a man in his position to have no strong political opinions, or at least not to voice them. His clients come from all walks of life, with all kinds of beliefs. His shop is neutral ground. He finishes with the scissors and puts them down. He takes up a razor, one with a slightly shorter blade, to neaten the hairline on the back of Flavius's neck. He lathers the area with a small brush, the lavender scent once again filling the air. With a few quick, expert strokes, he cleans up the back of the neck, creating a sharp, clean line. Flavius sighs with satisfaction. It is the small details that make a good haircut. You have good hands, Lucius Flavius says. Steady and sure. Not like that young barber near the Forum. They say he gave Senator Cato a nasty cut last week. Cato was furious. The boy will be lucky if he keeps his shop open. Lucius simply nods. He knows the barber Flavius is talking about. The young man is skilled, but impatient. In this trade, patience is everything. A moment of haste can ruin a reputation that took years to build. He takes a soft brush and dusts the loose hairs from Flavius's neck and shoulders. He removes the towel with a gentle flourish. The trim is complete. Flavius's white hair is neat and even. He looks distinguished. Flavius reaches up and feels the back of his neck. "Ah, perfect," he says. "My daughter will be pleased. She will say I look 10 years younger." He chuckles, a dry, rustling sound. He slowly gets up from the chair, using his walking stick for support. He fumbles in his coin purse and places a few coins on the counter, a little more than the usual price. "For your good ears, as well as your good hands," Flavius says with a wink. He knows the value of a discreet listener. "Travel safely, Flavius," Lucius says, inclining his head. "I will," the old man replies. He makes his way to the door, his stick tapping on the floor. At the entrance, he turns back. "And Lucius," he says, his voice serious now, "buy some extra flour, if you can, before the prices go up." With that final piece of advice, he is gone, shuffling back into the bustling street. Lucius is left alone in the quiet of his shop, the sound of the scissors still seeming to hang in the air. He looks at the coins on the counter. He thinks about the senator and the actress, the new tax, the delayed grain ships. He has just received a detailed report on the state of the city, all for the price of a haircut. This is the hidden currency of his trade. He deals not just in shaves and trims, but in information, in secrets, in the small human dramas that make up the life of the great city. He sweeps the fine, white clippings of Flavius's hair from the floor. Each client leaves a small part of himself behind. He discards the hair, but he keeps the stories. They are filed away in his memory, a vast and complex library of Roman life. He cleans his scissors and comb, wiping them with an oiled cloth before putting them away. He prepares for the next client, his mind still mulling over what he has heard. The advice about the flour was a genuine act of friendship. He will heed it. The sun is now almost directly overhead. The mid-morning rush is about to begin. He stands ready, his shop clean, his tools in order. He is a barber, a listener, a quiet observer at the very heart of Rome. The city flows around him, and sometimes it flows right through his small shop. The heat of the day is building. The cool morning air has been replaced by a thick, warm blanket that settles over the city. The shadows are short, and the cobblestones in the street are warm to the touch. Inside the shop, it is cooler, a welcome escape from the climbing sun. A new client sits in the chair. He is a man in the prime of his life, a stonemason by the look of his powerful hands and the fine white dust that clings to his clothes. His beard is thick and coarse, a true challenge for even the most skilled barber. The man's name is Cassius, and he is a regular client. He does not speak much, preferring to sit in silence and enjoy the simple pleasure of a professional shave. This suits Lucius perfectly. It allows him to concentrate fully on the art of his craft. This shave will be a demonstration of skill. A beard like this, thick and wiry, requires more than just a sharp blade. It requires preparation, technique, and a deep understanding of the relationship between steel and skin. Lucius begins by preparing a hot towel. He takes a thick linen cloth and dips it into the pot of hot water he keeps on his small brazier. He wrings it out until it is no longer dripping, but still heavy with hot steam. He wraps the hot towel around Cassius's lower face, covering the entire beard. The heat and moisture begin their work immediately, softening the tough bristles and opening the pores of the skin. This is the most important first step. Cassius lets out a low groan of pleasure as the heat penetrates his skin. His work is hard and physical. This moment of warmth and relaxation is a small but deeply appreciated luxury. Lucius leaves the towel in place for several minutes. He uses this time to prepare his sharpest razor. He gives it a few final passes on the leather strop, the rhythmic whisper filling the quiet shop. He is honing the edge to its absolute peak of sharpness. He also prepares a thick, rich lather, adding a few extra drops of oil to the soap to provide more lubrication. A thick beard requires a slick surface for the razor to glide upon. He works the lather in his bowl until it is the consistency of thick cream. When he feels enough time has passed, he removes the hot towel. Cassius's face is flushed, and his beard is damp and soft. The preparation is complete. The canvas is ready. Lucius applies the lather with his brush, working it deep into the roots of the beard. He uses a circular motion, ensuring that every single hair is coated and lifted from the skin. He builds a thick cushion of foam on the stonemason's jaw. He picks up the razor. Its weight is familiar and comforting in his hand. He feels a connection to it, a sense of partnership. He knows its balance, its temper, its capabilities. He begins on the cheek, just as he did with the soldier. But the technique is different here. With a coarse beard, he must use shorter, more decisive strokes. He must maintain the perfect angle to avoid pulling the hair, which would be painful and could cause rashes. He pulls the skin taut a little more firmly than usual to create a perfectly flat plane. He sets the blade against the foam. The first stroke is clean and effective. The razor glides through the thick stubble, leaving a swathe of impossibly smooth skin in its wake. The sound is different too. It is not a quiet rasp, but a more audible, crisp, shearing sound. It is the sound of a truly sharp blade doing its work on a challenging beard. It is a sound of pure efficiency. Lucius works with unwavering focus. His breathing is slow and steady. His hand does not tremble. He is in a state of deep concentration, a place where the outside world ceases to exist. There is only the landscape of the face before him, and the tool in his hand to shape it. He rinses the blade frequently, as the thick stubble clogs it quickly. He watches the cloudy water in the basin, a measure of his progress. He moves from the cheeks to the chin, a notoriously difficult area where the hair grows in multiple directions. Here, he must change the direction of his strokes, following the natural grain of the beard. He shaves with the grain first, removing the bulk of the hair. This is the first pass. After the first pass is complete, Cassius's face is no longer bearded, but covered in a fine, dark shadow of stubble. For many barbers, this would be the end of the shave. But not for Lucius. He is a master of his craft, and he takes pride in perfection. He applies a second round of hot lather, this time a thinner layer. Now, he will perform a second pass, this time against the grain. This is a technique that requires immense skill and a very gentle touch. It is what separates a good shave from a perfect one. Shaving against the grain cuts the hair at the very surface of the skin, resulting in a shave that is closer and lasts longer. But it also carries a higher risk of nicks and irritation if not done correctly. Lucius's touch is as light as a whisper. The razor seems to float over the skin, the blade barely touching it, yet it cuts the remaining stubble with deadly precision. He uses the very tip of the razor for the most sensitive areas. He works with the patience of a sculptor, revealing the smooth skin beneath the rough exterior. He can feel the texture of the skin through the blade, sensing any imperfections, any small bumps or hollows, and adjusting his technique accordingly. When the second pass is complete, he sets the razor down. He runs the back of his finger lightly against Cassius's cheek. It is perfectly smooth. The skin feels like polished marble. He is satisfied. He uses a series of towels, first hot, then cool, to soothe the skin. The process is the same as with his other clients, but he takes extra time, knowing the stonemason's skin has been through a more rigorous process. He applies the special mixture of oils he prepared earlier, the one with chamomile and lavender. He massages it gently into the skin, his fingers moving in slow, calming circles. The fragrant oil will protect the skin and prevent any redness. Cassius has not moved or spoken throughout the entire process. He has been in a state of meditation. Now he opens his eyes. He looks like a different man. The removal of the heavy beard has revealed the strong, classic lines of his jaw and chin. He sits up and looks at himself in the bronze mirror. He turns his head from side to side, marveling at the closeness of the shave. He runs his rough, calloused hand over his jaw, a look of quiet amazement on his face. He turns to Lucius and gives a slow, appreciative nod. He does not need words. His expression says everything. It is the look of a man who has experienced true craftsmanship. He pays for the shave, adding a generous extra coin for the exceptional service. He stands, and for the first time, a wide smile breaks across his rugged face. "Thank you, Lucius," he says, his deep voice filled with gratitude. He walks out of the shop, standing a little taller, his step a little lighter. He has been renewed, refreshed. He has been cared for. Lucius watches him go, a deep sense of professional pride swelling in his chest. This is why he does what he does. Not just for the money, but for this feeling. The feeling of using his skill to bring comfort and confidence to another person. He cleans his razor with meticulous care, wiping it with an oiled cloth to prevent any rust. He knows he has just done some of his best work. The challenge of the thick beard was met and conquered. The art of the straight razor is a demanding one. It requires a steady hand, a sharp eye, and a calm heart. It is a dance of trust between the barber and the client. And for Lucius, it is the center of his world, the truest expression of who he is. The sun is at its highest point in the sky, beating down on the rooftops and streets of Rome. The air is heavy with heat, and the sounds of the city seem to have slowed, grown sluggish. This is the hour of the midday lull, a time when many Romans retreat indoors to escape the worst of the heat. The flow of customers into Lucius's shop has dwindled to a trickle. He has just finished with a young man who wanted his hair trimmed in the latest fashion, a style that Lucius found impracticable but executed flawlessly. Now the shop is empty once more. This is the time he sets aside for his own midday meal. It is a necessary pause in the rhythm of his day, a chance to rest his feet, replenish his energy, and gather his thoughts before the afternoon brings a new wave of clients. He walks to the front of his shop and pulls one of the large wooden shutters partially closed. This blocks the direct, harsh sunlight from entering, casting the shop into a cooler, dimmer light. It is also a signal to passers-by that he is taking a short break. From under his counter, he retrieves a small cloth bundle. He unties the corners and lays it open. Inside is his simple lunch: a piece of flatbread, a small handful of dark, cured olives, and a wedge of hard goat cheese. He brings his simple meal to the wooden bench where his clients usually wait. For these few minutes, it is his own dining table. He sits down with a soft sigh, feeling the pleasant ache in his legs and back from a morning spent on his feet. He does not eat quickly. Just as with his morning meal, he eats with intention, with mindfulness. He breaks off a piece of the bread. It is soft and chewy. He pairs it with a piece of the salty cheese. The combination of flavors, simple but deeply satisfying. He eats an olive, its flesh firm and its taste sharp and briny. The olives remind him of the countryside, of the gnarled, ancient trees that produce them. They are a taste of the earth, a connection to the land that sustains the great city. As he eats, he listens to the sounds filtering in from the street. He hears the drone of insects in the heat, the distant cry of a vendor selling cool drinks, the soft murmur of conversations from people seeking shade under awnings. The world has slowed down, and he slows down with it. He is not thinking about his next client or the tasks that await him. He is simply present in this moment, with his bread and his olives. This is his time for quiet renewal. He has a small flask of water, which he drinks from sparingly. The water is warm now, but it is still welcome. It moistens his throat and washes down the simple food. He thinks about how different his meal is from the lunches of his wealthy clients. He has heard them speak of elaborate midday feasts with multiple courses, roasted meats, exotic fish, sweet cakes, and fine wine. He does not envy them. He finds a certain freedom in the simplicity of his own life. His needs are few, and his pleasures are small but genuine. The taste of a good olive, the feeling of a sharp blade, the satisfaction of a job well done, these are enough for him. He is a man who notices small details. He notices the way the filtered light falls on the stone floor. He sees a small spider spinning a web in a high corner of the shop, a tiny, patient craftsman just like himself. He hears the soft cooing of a pigeon on the roof above. This quiet observation is a form of rest for him. It clears his mind. The constant focus required for his work can be draining. These moments of stillness are essential for maintaining his steady hand and his calm demeanor. After he has finished his meal, he carefully wraps the remaining bread and cheese in the cloth and puts it away. He leaves no crumbs. His walk space is also his living space, and he keeps it clean out of habit and respect. He does not immediately return to his work. He allows himself a few more moments of rest. He leans his head back against the cool plaster wall and closes his eyes. He does not sleep, but he lets his mind drift. He thinks of his father, who worked in this very same shop. He can almost see him, a younger, stronger version of himself, stropping a razor by the open door. His father taught him everything he knows about the craft, but also about how to be a man, to be patient, to be honest, and to take pride in your work, no matter how humble. He remembers the first shave he ever gave, under his father's watchful eye. His hand was trembling, and he was terrified of making a mistake. The client was a patient old man, a friend of his father's. When he was finished, his father had clapped him on the shoulder, a rare sign of approval. That moment was a turning point in his life. These memories are a comfort to him. They remind him that he is part of a tradition, a lineage. He is not just one man in a small shop, but a link in a chain that stretches back through the generations. A sound from the street pulls him back to the present. It is the sound of many footsteps, of loud, boisterous voices. A group of men, merchants, from the look of their clothes, are approaching his shop. The afternoon rush is about to begin. His break is over. He opens his eyes and sits up straight. He feels rested and restored. The simple meal and the quiet reflection have done their work. He is ready for the second half of his day. He stands up and stretches, feeling the muscles in his back lengthen. He walks to the front of the shop and pushes the shutter fully open again. The bright afternoon light floods in, and with it, the noise and energy of the street. He is back in his role as Lucius the 20s. He stands by his chair, his posture calm and welcoming. The shop is no longer a place of rest, but a place of work. The first of the merchants steps into the shop, wiping sweat from his brow. "Lucius," he says with a booming voice, "the heat is a curse today. I need a trim to let the air get to my scalp." Lucius nods and gestures to the chair. The rhythm of the day begins again. The quiet interlude is now a pleasant memory. He picks up his comb and scissors, his hands steady, his mind clear. The break has served its purpose. He is ready for whatever the afternoon will bring. The dance of his craft continues. The midday lull has broken, and the afternoon has brought with it a new energy. The streets are once again crowded, and a steady stream of clients begins to flow into Lucius's small shop. The atmosphere changes from one of quiet contemplation to one of busy, focused work. The first man is Gaius, the merchant with the booming voice who complained about the heat. He is a man of large appetites and loud opinions, and he fills the small shop with his presence. As Lucius trims his hair, Gaius recounts a story of a business deal gone wrong, his voice rising and falling with dramatic flair. Lucius listens patiently, his scissors snipping away with a steady rhythm. He has learned to filter the important information from the embellishments. Gaius is a good source of news about the markets, about which goods are plentiful and which are scarce. The price of silk from the east is going to skyrocket, Gaius declares, as Lucius neatens the hair around his ears. The Parthians are causing trouble on the trade routes again. Mark my words, only the richest senators will be able to afford it soon. Lucius files this information away. It does not affect him directly, but it is a piece of the larger puzzle of the city's economy. After Gaius, 2 more men enter the shop. They are travelers, their clothes dusty and their faces weathered by the sun and wind. They do not speak the local dialect perfectly, their accents marking them as being from one of the eastern provinces. They have come to Rome on business, or perhaps on a pilgrimage. They wish to look presentable for their time in the great capital. They ask for shaves. Lucius works on the first man, while the second waits on the bench. The traveller in the chair is nervous. He has likely never been shaved by a Roman tonsor before. He watches Lucius's every move in the bronze mirror, his body tense. Lucius understands his anxiety. He works with an even more deliberate and gentle touch than usual. His calm, quiet confidence is infectious. He does not speak, letting his steady hands do the talking. He gives the man a perfect, clean shave. He uses a cool towel and a soothing balm at the end, taking extra care to calm the man's sensitive skin. When it is finished, the traveller looks at his reflection with wide eyes. He has never had such a comfortable, close shave before. He relaxes completely, a slow smile spreading across his face. He speaks to his friend in their own language, his words full of excitement and praise. The second traveller gets into the chair eagerly, his nervousness gone, replaced by anticipation. Lucius feels a quiet satisfaction. His skill has transcended the barrier of language. He has communicated through his craft, offering a moment of comfort and care to a stranger in a strange city. It is a reminder that his trade is a universal one. After the travellers leave, happy and clean-shaven, a young poet comes in. His name is Aulus, and he is a dreamer. He has long, flowing hair that he is very proud of. He does not want it cut, only shaped and styled. Aulus talks not of markets or politics, but of beauty and inspiration. He recites verses of his latest poem as Lucius works, his voice filled with passion. The poem is about the changing colors of the sky at sunset. Lucius listens, appreciating the young man's artistry, which is so different from his own. Lucius creates beauty with his hands, with sharp steel and soft cloths. Aulus creates it with words, with rhythm and metaphor. But both are trying to bring a little more order and beauty into a chaotic world. Lucius uses his pomade, the one scented with rosemary, to give Aulus's hair a healthy shine and to tame the stray flyaways. The young poet is delighted with the result. He pays Lucius not with coins, but with a promise to include a wise and skilled barber in his next great epic poem. Lucius smiles and accepts the unusual payment. The afternoon wears on. The shop is rarely empty for more than a few minutes. Lucius works with a steady, unhurried pace. He moves from one client to the next, adapting his skills to each one's unique needs. A trim for a clerk, a shave for a courier, a beard shaping for a government official. Each person brings a piece of the city with them. The clerk complains about his demanding supervisor. The courier shares news of a new edict from the emperor that will be posted in the forum tomorrow. The official speaks in hushed tones about a power struggle within his department. Lucius is a hub, a central point through which the life of the city flows. He is like a spider in the center of a web, feeling the vibrations from all corners of the community. He rarely leaves his small shop, but the whole of Rome comes to him. He has to refill his basin of water several times. The stack of clean linen towels shrinks, while the pile of used ones grows. The floor, which he swept clean after Flavius's haircut, is once again dusted with hair of all colors and textures. He feels the familiar fatigue in his body, the dull ache in his lower back and the soles of his feet. but it is a good kind of fatigue. It is the feeling of a day well spent, of a purpose fulfilled. His energy is sustained by his focus, by the rhythm of his work. He looks out at the street. The light is changing. The harsh, white light of midday is beginning to soften, to turn a warmer, more golden color. The shadows are growing longer. The afternoon is beginning to slide towards evening. He knows the rush will soon be over. Men will be finishing their work for the day and heading to the public baths to relax and socialize, or heading home to their families for the evening meal. There is a brief lull, a moment of quiet between clients. Lucius takes a deep breath and stretches his back. He looks at the tools on his counter. They have served him well today. He quickly wipes down his main razor and gives it a few touches on the strop, keeping it ready. He sees a father and a young boy walking down the street. The boy is looking at the shop with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The father puts a reassuring hand on his son's shoulder and steers him towards the entrance. Lucius knows what this means. It is time for a first shave, a rite of passage. He straightens his posture and puts a calm, welcoming expression on his face. This will be a special kind of work, one that requires not just skill, but also a great deal of gentleness and reassurance. The afternoon rush may be ending, but his day is far from over. A new, important chapter is about to begin. The father, a kind-faced man named Titus, guides his son into the shop. The boy, whose name is Livius, looks to be about 14 years old. He has the lanky, awkward grace of youth. A soft, downy fuzz covers his upper lip and chin, the first true sign of his impending manhood. Livius looks around the shop with wide, nervous eyes. He looks at the sharp razors laid out on the counter, and he swallows hard. This is a significant moment for him, a step across a threshold from boyhood into the world of men. Lucius, Titus says with a warm smile, the day has come. My son is ready. He places his hands proudly on Livius's shoulders. Lucius meets the boy's gaze and offers a soft, reassuring smile. It is an honor, he says, his voice calm and gentle. Welcome, Livius. He gestures to the barber's chair, not as a command, but as a gentle invitation. The boy hesitates for a moment, then walks slowly to the chair and sits down. He sits stiffly, his hands gripping the wooden armrests. He looks small and vulnerable in the big chair. Lucius knows that this is a delicate situation. A bad experience now could make the boy fearful of shaving for the rest of his life. His primary goal is not just to remove the soft fuzz, but to make the experience a positive and memorable one. He begins by speaking to the boy in a low, soothing voice. There is nothing to fear, he says as he drapes a fresh towel around Livius's neck. It is a simple process. It will not hurt. You just need to sit still and trust me. He does not prepare a hot towel. A boy's skin is soft and sensitive, and too much heat could irritate it. Instead, he uses a towel, dampened with pleasantly warm water, to soften the skin and the downy hair. He pats the boy's face gently with the towel. He decides not to use his regular shaving soap, which might be too harsh. He has a special, milder soap that he keeps for clients with very sensitive skin. It is made with pure olive oil and has no added scent. He works up a very light, soft lather and applies it to the boy's face with his softest badger hairbrush. He uses slow, gentle strokes. This just helps the razor to glide smoothly, he explains, his voice a calm murmur. It feels nice, does it not? Livius gives a small, hesitant nod, his eyes still wide. He is watching his own reflection in the bronze mirror, his face covered in the white foam. Now comes the most important part. Lucius puts away his regular razors. For a first shave, he uses a special tool. It is an older razor, one whose edge he has deliberately dulled ever so slightly. It is still sharp enough to cut the soft, downy hair, but it is much less likely to cause a nick or a cut. It is a razor designed for safety and confidence, not for speed. He shows the razor to the boy. "See?" he says, holding it up. "It is just a simple blade. I have used it thousands of times. I know exactly what I am doing." He wants the boy to see him as a master, a completely trustworthy guide in this new experience. Titus, the father, stands quietly in the corner of the shop, watching with a proud smile. He is witnessing a significant moment in his son's life, and he has chosen Lucius to be the one to preside over it. Lucius begins to shave, his touch impossibly light. He does not pull the skin taut, as there is no need. He lets the razor float over the surface of the skin. The fine hairs come away easily, with no pulling or scraping. He talks to the boy throughout the process, explaining each step. "Now I am doing your right cheek. Just a simple downward stroke. See how easy it is." His voice is a hypnotic, steady presence. He shaves the upper lip with extreme care, using just the corner of the blade. The boy flinches slightly, and Lucius pts. "It is all right," he says calmly. "Just breathe. I am almost finished there." He gives the boy a moment, then continues, his movements even slower and more gentle than before. He finishes the upper lip and the chin, leaving the boy's skin perfectly smooth. The entire process takes only a few minutes, but Lucius has made it feel unhurried and important. When he is done, he wipes away the remaining lather with a soft, damp cloth. He does not use a cool towel, again, to avoid shocking the boy's sensitive skin. He simply pats the face dry. "There," Lucius says, stepping back. "It is done. You can look now." Livius stares at his reflection. His face is smooth, clean. The boyish fuzz is gone. In its place is the face of a young man. He touches his chin in wonder, a slow smile of pride spreading across his lips. He looks from his reflection to his father, his eyes shining. Titus steps forward, his face beaming with pride. "You look like a man, my son," he says, his voice thick with emotion. He claps his son on the back. Lucius allows them to have their moment. He quietly cleans the razor and puts his tools away. He feels a deep sense of satisfaction. He has not just performed a service, he has guided a boy through an important rite of passage. He has done it with kindness and skill, creating a positive memory that will last a lifetime. Titus pays Lucius generously, pressing an extra coin into his hand. "Thank you, Lucius," he says, his eyes full of gratitude. "Thank you for your care." "It was my privilege," Lucius replies, honestly. As the father and son leave the shop, the boy Livius walks a little taller, his shoulders back. He is no longer looking at the ground. He is looking ahead at the world of men he has just officially entered. Lucius watches them go, a gentle smile on his face. He has shaved generals and senators, merchants and laborers. But there is a special kind of fulfillment in a shave like this one. It is a reminder that his work is not just about cutting hair. It is about touching lives, about being a part of the great, ongoing story of his community. The shop is quiet again. The golden afternoon light fills the room. He sweeps the floor, but there is almost nothing to collect. The boy's first beard was little more than a shadow, but its removal was a moment of great substance. He feels a warmth in his chest that has nothing to do with the heat of the day. It is the warmth of a job done not just well, but with heart. The day begins its slow descent towards evening. The intense heat has broken, and a gentle breeze begins to stir the air, carrying with it the complex scents of the city. The light filtering into the shop is now a deep, warm gold, the color of honey. There is another lull in the flow of clients. Lucius stands at the front of his shop, leaning against the doorframe, and simply listens. For a moment, he is not a barber, but an observer, a student of the city's symphony. The sound of Rome is not one single noise, but 1,000 different sounds woven together into a rich and complex tapestry. At first, it is just a wall of sound, a constant, indistinct roar. But as he focuses, he can begin to pick out the individual threads. He hears the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer from a nearby workshop. It is a steady, powerful beat, a percussive anchor in the city's music. He has heard it every day for years, and he can tell by its rhythm whether the smith is working on a sword or a simple hinge. There is the rumble of iron-rimmed cartwheels on the uneven cobblestones, a low, grinding sound that speaks of commerce and movement. He hears the sharp crack of a whip and the shout of a driver urging his tired mules forward. Human voices are the melody of the city. He hears the high-pitched laughter of children playing a game of tag in a nearby alley. Their joy is a bright, clear note that rises above the deeper hum of the adults. He hears the sing-song cry of a street vendor advertising his wares, sweet figs, ripe figs from the south. The voice calls out a repeating, musical phrase. Another vendor answers, selling fresh water flavored with lemon and honey. There is the murmur of conversations from people walking past his shop. He does not try to hear the words, but he can read the emotions in the tones. A low, intimate whisper between two lovers. A loud, angry argument between two men. The cheerful, excited chatter of a group of friends. He hears the sound of footsteps. The quick, hurried steps of someone with an urgent errand. The slow, heavy tread of a laborer returning from a long day's work. The light, tapping steps of a wealthy woman, her servants clearing a path before her. From a distance, he can hear the faint sound of music. Someone is playing a lyre, its notes sweet and melancholic. The music drifts on the breeze, a fleeting moment of beauty in the midst of the city's chaos. He hears the sounds of animals, too. The barking of a stray dog, the cooing of the pigeons that nest in the eaves of the buildings, the occasional bray of a donkey. These are the sounds of the other inhabitants of Rome, the creatures who share the city with its human masters. All of these sounds are familiar to him. They are the background music to his life. He has lived with them for so long that he often does not consciously notice them. But in these quiet moments, he can truly appreciate their complexity. He thinks about how the sounds of the city change throughout the day. The morning is full of the sounds of preparation and beginning. The midday is quieter, more subdued. The afternoon is a crescendo of activity. The sound he is listening to now. Soon, the sounds will change again. As evening approaches, he will hear the ringing of bells from the temples, calling the faithful to evening rites. He will hear the sounds of families gathering for their meals, the noise of the streets giving way to the sounds of the home. Later still, in the deep of the night, the city will fall into a relative silence. But it will never be completely quiet. There will always be the sound of the night watchmen on their patrols, the distant bark of a dog, the lonely sound of the wind whistling through the narrow alleyways. This soundscape is as much a part of Rome as the Colosseum or the Forum. It is the city's voice, the audible expression of its life, its energy, its soul. And his small shop is like a seashell, held up to the ear, capturing a small, perfect echo of that great ocean of sound. His listening is a form of meditation. It connects him to the world outside his four walls. It reminds him that he is a part of something vast and ancient and constantly changing. He is not a man of great importance in the grand scheme of the city. He is not a senator making laws or a general winning battles. But he has his place. His shop is a point of stillness in the midst of all this movement. It is a place where the noise of the world is held at bay for a little while, where a man can sit in silence and feel a steady hand bring order to a small part of his life. A shadow falls across the entrance of the shop. A tall, richly dressed man is standing there, looking at him. It is Senator Valerius, one of his most wealthy and demanding patrons. The time for quiet observation is over. Lucius straightens up, moving away from the doorframe and back into his professional stance. He smooths his tunic and gestures for the senator to enter. The sounds of the street recede as he turns his full attention to the client before him. The symphony of the city will continue without him, but for now his focus must be on the much smaller, more intimate world of his craft. The final, and perhaps most important, part of his workday is about to begin. The sun continues its journey toward the western hills, and the light that fills the shop is now softer, less direct. The afternoon rush has subsided, leaving a pocket of quiet in its wake. Senator Valerius, his most demanding client, has just departed, leaving the air thick with the scent of his expensive, exotic perfume. Lucius is grateful for the pause. The senator required not only a shave of absolute perfection, but also a delicate trimming of his beard and a careful application of scented powder. It was work that demanded the utmost concentration, and Lucius feels the mental fatigue more than the physical. He knows there will be a few more clients before he closes for the day, men on their way home from work seeking a quick shave. But for now, he has a few precious moments to himself. He decides to use this time for a task that is both a necessity and a meditation: the care and sharpening of his tools. His tools are his partners in his craft. Their condition is a direct reflection of his own professionalism. A dull razor or a dirty comb is the mark of a lazy barber, and Lucius is anything but lazy. He begins with the razors he has used throughout the day. He takes each one and carefully wipes the blade with a soft, clean cloth, removing any trace of soap or hair. He inspects each edge closely, holding it up to the light, looking for any microscopic nicks or imperfections. Even the finest steel edge will begin to dull with use. To restore it, he turns to his honing stones. He has 2 of them, kept in a wooden box. One is a coarse stone for working out any small nicks, and the other is a fine, smooth stone for creating the final, perfect edge. He sprinkles a few drops of water onto the surface of the finer stone. He takes the first razor and lays the blade flat against the wet stone. With a steady, even pressure, he pushes the blade forward, leading with the edge. The sound is a soft, gritty whisper, steel against stone. This is a task that cannot be rushed. It requires a perfectly steady hand and an innate feel for the right angle and pressure. He works the blade back and forth across the stone, his movements slow and deliberate. He is not just sharpening the steel. He is realigning the molecules at its very edge, creating a single, flawless line of sharpness. He closes his eyes for a moment, relying on the feel of the blade under his fingers and the sound it makes against the stone. It is a language he has understood since he was a boy, watching his father perform this same ritual. After several minutes on the stone, he wipes the blade clean and examines the edge again. It looks perfect, but the final test is on the leather strop. He hangs the strop from its hook and begins to draw the blade across it, first on one side, then on the other. The strop does not sharpen the blade in the same way as the stone. It polishes the edge, removing any microscopic burrs and aligning it for the smoothest possible cut. The sound of stropping is softer, a quiet shishi of steel on leather. It is a calming, rhythmic sound that fills the quiet shop. He repeats this entire process for each of the razors he used during the day. It is slow, methodical work, but Lucius finds a deep satisfaction in it. He is restoring his tools, bringing them back to a state of readiness. He is preparing for the future, for the clients of tomorrow. This act of maintenance is a form of respect. It is respect for his tools, for his clients, and for the craft itself. It is a quiet promise that he will always offer his very best work. Once the razors are done, he turns his attention to his other implements. He takes his combs, carved from bone and boxwood, and cleans them carefully. He uses a small, stiff brush to remove any trapped hairs from between the teeth. He then wipes them down with a cloth dampened with olive oil, which keeps the material from becoming dry and brittle. He cleans his scissors, wiping the blades and adding a tiny drop of oil to the pivot point to ensure they open and close smoothly. He checks the tension, making sure they will cut cleanly without binding. He washes his lathering brushes in warm water, rinsing them until all the soap is gone. He gently squeezes the excess water from the bristles and hangs them upside, darched to dry, which helps them keep their shape. He even wipes down the clay jars that hold his oils and powders, removing any smudges or drips. His entire workstation must be in a state of perfect order. This external order helps to create an internal sense of calm and focus. This quiet, focused work is a balm to his mind. The demands of interacting with clients, of listening to their stories and worries, can be draining. This is a time for silence, for communion only with his tools. As he works, the last rays of the setting sun slant through the door of the shop, painting long, golden stripes across the floor. The world outside is preparing for the evening. He can hear the changing sounds of the street, the sounds of a city winding down. He feels a sense of timelessness in this ritual. He knows that barbers all over Rome, and indeed all over the world, are performing these same tasks. They are cleaning their tools, sharpening their blades, preparing for another day. He is part of a silent brotherhood, a community of craftsmen connected by their shared skills and traditions. He finishes his work just as the light begins to fade. His tools are once again pristine, sharp, and ready. They rest on a clean cloth on his counter, gleaming in the twilight. He feels a sense of accomplishment, a quiet pride. This interlude has refreshed him. His mind is clear, and his hands are steady. He is ready for the final few clients of the day. This moment of quiet industry was not a break from his work, but an essential part of it. It was an act of preparation, of dedication, of a deep and abiding love for his craft. The tools are ready, and so is he. For your trouble, the senator said. He then turned and swept out of the shop, his bodyguards falling into step behind him. He was gone as quickly as he had arrived, leaving behind only the lingering scent of his perfume and a heavy silver coin on the counter. Lucius let out a slow breath he did not realize he had been holding. He felt a wave of relief, followed by a surge of pride. He had met the challenge. He had pleased his most demanding client. He looked at the silver coin, shining in the fading light. It was more than just money. It was a symbol of his skill, a testament to his mastery of the craft. It was proof that in this small, humble shop he could provide a service worthy of the highest echelons of Roman society. He carefully picked up the coin and placed it in his own purse. It felt heavy, substantial. He then began the process of cleaning up, his movements efficient but a little tired. The intense focus had taken its toll. The encounter with the senator was a reminder of the delicate dance he had to perform every day, navigating the complex social strata of Rome, from soldiers to senators, from poets to stonemasons. He treated them all with his skill and care. But he knew, in this city of power and influence, that some clients were more important than others, and he had just successfully navigated his most important test of the day. The day is now in its final phase. The sun has dipped below the rooftops of the taller buildings, and the sky to the west is painted in brilliant streaks of orange, pink, and purple. The direct light has gone, replaced by a soft, diffused twilight that fills the streets and Lucius's shop. This is a magical time of day in Rome. The air cools, and the harsh edges of the city soften. People's voices seem to carry further in the still air. The sounds of the day's labor are replaced by the sounds of leisure and homecoming. Lucius stands at the entrance of his shop, watching the transformation. The sky is a work of art, a masterpiece that changes with every passing minute. He feels a sense of peace settle over him, a quiet contentment that often comes at the end of a long and productive day. He has had one more client since the senator left, a baker's assistant on his way home, who paid for a quick shave with a small, warm loaf of bread fresh from the oven. Lucius accepted it gratefully. He will eat it for his evening meal. The shop is quiet now. The tools have been cleaned for a second time and are neatly arranged, ready for the morning. The pile of used towels is large, a testament to the day's work. The water in the basin has been changed one last time. He knows it is time to close, but he lingers for a few moments, reluctant to bring the day to an official end. He enjoys this liminal state, this time between work and rest. He watches the people passing by. A family walks together, the father carrying a tired child on his shoulders. A group of young men, friends, laugh loudly as they head towards a tavern for the evening. A woman calls from a window to her neighbor. their conversation drifting down to the street below. This is the human side of the great city, the part that is often hidden during the busy, work-focused hours of the day. In the twilight, Rome feels less like a seat of power and more like a collection of villages, a network of neighborhoods and families. He thinks about his own small place in this network. He is a familiar sight in this neighborhood, a fixture. The people who walk past his shop know him. They may not all be his clients, but they know him as Lucius the tonsor, the man with the steady hands and the quiet demeanor. He feels a deep sense of belonging, a rootedness. This small shop on this busy street is his anchor in the world. It has provided him with his livelihood, his purpose, and his connection to the community around him. A lamplighter comes down the street, carrying a long pole with a small flame at the end. He stops at each post, reaching up to light the oil lamps that will hold back the darkness of the night. As he works his way down the street, he leaves a trail of warm, golden pools of light behind him. The lighting of the lamps is a signal. It is the official end of the day, the beginning of the night. Lucius knows it is time. He turns back into his shop. The interior is now deep in shadow, the corners disappearing into darkness. The world is preparing for sleep, and so must he. He must complete his final tasks and make his own journey home. He takes the small sign that hangs outside, the one with the painted razor and scissors, and brings it inside. He takes the heavy wooden shutters and begins to swing them closed. The loud, cheerful sounds of the street are muffled, then cut off as the shutters meet in the middle. The shop is plunged into near darkness, the only light coming from the single oil lamp that has been burning on his counter all day. He lacquers the heavy crossbar, securing his small kingdom for the night. The silence in the shop is now profound. The vibrant, noisy world of Rome has been shut out. He is alone with his thoughts, surrounded by the tools and scents of his trade. He feels the day's fatigue settle more deeply into his bones. It is a satisfying tiredness, the physical proof of his hard work. He has stood for hours. His hands have been in constant, precise motion, and his mind has been focused and alert. He has earned his rest. He prepares for the final task of the day, the one he performs every evening before he leaves. It is a ritual of closure, a way of resetting the space for the new day that will come with the dawn. He takes a small, stiff broom and begins to sweep the stone floor. He works from the back of the shop to the front, his movements methodical and unhurried. He sweeps away the dust of the day, the dirt tracked in from the street, and the last of the fallen hair clippings. This act of sweeping is more than just cleaning. It is a clearing of the day's energy. It is a way of letting go of the conversations, the worries, the triumphs of the past several hours. He sweeps it all away, leaving the floor clean and ready for a fresh start. He gathers the day's clippings into a small pile. It is a mixture of all the men who sat in his chair today, the dark, coarse hair of the soldier, the fine, white hair of the old merchant, the downy fuzz of the young boy. It is a physical record of his day's work. He scoops the hair into a small bag. Tomorrow he will dispose of it properly. For now, it is the last remnant of the day that has just passed. The slate is now clean. The sun has set, and his work is truly done. Just as Lucius was about to extinguish his main lamp and prepare to leave, a hesitant knock came from the heavy wooden shutters. The sound was soft, almost lost in the growing quiet of the evening. It was unusual for anyone to come so late." Lucius paused, his hand hovering over the lamp. He was tired, and his day was officially over. He could ignore the knock, and no one would blame him. But something in the gentle, uncertain sound of it made him hesitate. He walked to the front of the shop and lifted the heavy crossbar. He opened one of the shutters, just a crack, peering out into the twilight street. Standing there was a young man, barely older than the boy Livius, who had his first shave earlier. He was dressed in the simple, rough-spun tunic of a labourer or a farmhand, and his face was smudged with dirt. He looked exhausted, and his eyes held a deep sadness. "Forgive me, tonsor," the young man said, his voice quiet and hoarse. "I know it is late. I know you are closed." "I am," Lucius said, his voice not unkind. "You should come back in the morning." The young man looked down at his worn sandals. "I cannot wait until morning," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "My father... He passed away this afternoon. We are preparing his body for the rites. I want him to look... peaceful. He always took such pride in a clean shave." Lucius felt the fatigue in his own body drain away, replaced by a wave of compassion. He looked at the young man's face, at the grief etched into his features. This was not a request for vanity or fashion. This was a final act of love and respect for a father from his son. "Wait here," Lucius said gently. He closed the shutter, walked back to his counter, and relit a second oil lamp, bringing more light back into the shadowed room. He then returned to the front and swung the shutter fully open. "Come in," he said, his voice soft. The young man entered the shop, his eyes blinking in the lamplight. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I do not have much to pay... "We will not speak of payment," Lucius said, cutting him off gently. "Tell me what you need." The young man explained that he needed a shave. Not for himself, but for his father. He had never done it himself and was afraid of cutting the cold skin. He wanted a professional to do it, to give his father a final moment of dignity. It was a strange request, but one that Lucius understood completely. He would not be able to go to the young man's home. It was not proper. But he could provide the tools and the guidance. Lucius went to his chest of tools and selected one of his sharpest razors. He took a small, unused pot of his mildest shaving soap and a clean, soft brush. He found a fresh, new linen towel. He carefully wrapped these items in a clean cloth. "You must be very gentle," Lucius instructed, his voice low and calm, like a teacher. "The skin will be different. Do not use hot water. Use cool water, and make the lather thin." He showed the young man how to hold the razor, how to angle the blade. He explained the need for very light, slow strokes. "Do not press down," he repeated. "Let the weight of the razor do the work. Be patient. This is your final service to him. Do it with care." The young man listened intently, his eyes wide with concentration and gratitude. He nodded, absorbing every word. He was no longer just a grieving son. He was a student, learning a sacred rite. Lucius placed the wrapped bundle of tools into the young man's hands. "Take these," he said. "They are a gift. Use them well." The young man looked down at the bundle, then back up at Lucius, his eyes shining with unshed tears. He could not speak. He simply bowed his head in a profound gesture of thanks. "Go now," Lucius said softly. "Be with your family. May your father's journey be a peaceful one." The young man nodded one last time, turned, and walked out into the night, clutching the precious bundle to his chest. He was a shadow that quickly disappeared into the other shadows of the evening. Lucius stood for a long time in the doorway, looking out at the now dark street. The encounter had moved him deeply. It was a stark reminder of the cycles of life and death that were a constant presence in the city. Underneath the daily hustle of commerce and politics, he had thought his work was done for the day. But his true final act was not a shave he performed with his own hands, but one he enabled through his compassion and generosity. It was a service not for the living, but for the dead. It was about honor, dignity, and the unbreakable bond between a father and a son. He felt a sense of profound peace. The day had been long and filled with a variety of people and experiences, from the powerful senator to this poor, grieving boy. He had served them all to the best of his ability. Now it was truly time to close. He swung the shutter closed for the second time, the sound of it seeming to have a new finality. He barred it firmly. He was once again alone in his shop, but he did not feel lonely. He felt connected to the deep, quiet rhythm of human existence. He took a deep breath, the air still smelling faintly of lavender and rosemary. His workday had ended not with a ring of coins, but with a silent act of human kindness. And somehow that felt like the most fitting end of all. With the encounter with the grieving son settling in his heart, Lucius turned his attention to the final rituals of his day. Closing the shop was not merely a matter of locking the door. It was a process, a series of actions that brought the day to a formal and satisfying close. This was the time to restore order, to cleanse the space, and to prepare it for the new day to come. He had already swept the floor once, but after the last few clients, it needed another pass. He took his broom, made of bound twigs, and began to sweep again. This time, the sweeping felt different. It was slower, more deliberate, more meditative. As he swept, he was not just clearing away hair and dust. He was clearing his own mind. He thought about the day, replaying the faces and conversations in his memory. Marcus, the soldier, so young and yet so serious. Flavius, the merchant, full of stories and warnings. Cassius, the stonemason, his rugged face transformed by a clean shave. He remembered the poet, the travelers, the senator. He thought of the young boy, Livius, and his proud father. And finally, he thought of the last visitor, the son carrying the tools for his father's final shave. Each one had left an impression, not just on the floor of his shop, but on the fabric of his day. The rhythmic swish-wish of the broom was the only sound in the enclosed space. It was a sound of closure, of letting go. He swept all the day's experiences, good and bad, into a small pile. He would deal with them tomorrow. For now, it was time to create a clean slate. After sweeping, he took a damp cloth and wiped down the surfaces one last time. He wiped the wooden counter, removing the faint rings left by water and oil. He wiped the waiting bench, and he gave the barber's chair a final, thorough cleaning, paying special attention to the headrest and armrests. He emptied the basin of its cloudy water, tossing it into the gutter in the street outside through a small drain hole at the base of the wall. He then rinsed the basin and left it upside down to dry overnight. He gathered all the used linen towels into a large cloth bag. Tomorrow was his day to take them to the Phalonica, the public laundry. where they would be washed and bleached with sulfur to make them white and clean again. He set the bag by the door. He checked his supplies. He noted that he was running low on his lavender-scented soap and made a mental note to prepare a new batch in the coming days. He made sure the stoppers were tight on all his jars of oil and that his powders were covered. Everything had a place, and everything was returned to its place. The combs were in their wooden box, the scissors were laid out neatly, and the razors were covered with a soft cloth to protect them from the night air. This ritual of cleaning and organizing was deeply ingrained in him. It was a discipline his father had taught him. A clean shop is a clear mind, his father used to say. The state of your tools reflects the state of your soul. Lucius believed this. He found that the act of putting his physical space in order helped to calm his thoughts and soothe his spirit. It was a way of controlling his small corner of a very chaotic world. It was a sacred duty, not a chore. When the shop was as clean and orderly as he could make it, he stood in the center of the room and looked around. In the soft, flickering light of the single oil lamp, the space felt calm and peaceful. It was no longer a place of business, but a quiet sanctuary. It was ready. It was resting, just as he was about to do. It would wait for him through the night, a silent and faithful partner in his life's work. He felt a deep affection for this small room. It was more than just walls and a floor. It was a part of him. It had absorbed the stories, the scents, and the emotions of his life. It was a silent witness to his craft. His work was done. There was nothing more to do here. The day was complete, closed out, and put to rest. He was finally ready to leave his professional world behind and return to his personal one. He took the single lamp that was still burning, the one that would light his way home. He walked to the door that led to the apartment building's inner courtyard. It was the same door he had emerged from in the grey light of dawn so many hours ago. He unbolted the door and opened it. The cool night air of the courtyard greeted him. It was quiet here, sheltered from the sounds of the main street. He could see the stars beginning to appear in the patch of sky visible between the rooftops. He stepped through the doorway, leaving the shop behind. He pulled the heavy door closed. The sound of the bolt sliding into place was the final, definitive end to his workday. He was no longer Lucius the tonsor. He was just Lucius, a man walking home through the quiet of a Roman night. The shop was now at rest, waiting patiently for the return of the sun. The inner courtyard of the insula was dark and quiet. The only light came from the small oil lamp Lucius carried and the faint, silvery glow of the moon high above. His footsteps on the worn flagstones were soft, almost silent. The air in the courtyard was cool and smelled of damp earth and the lingering scents of the evening meals. Cooked by his neighbors, he could hear the faint murmur of voices from behind closed shutters, the sounds of families winding down their day. He walked to the steep stone staircase that led to the upper floors. His legs were tired, and he took the stairs slowly, one at a time. The lamplight cast his shadow, large and distorted, on the plaster wall beside him. As he climbed, he rose above the enclosed quiet of the courtyard. The sounds of the city, which had been muffled below, began to return. But they were different now. The roar of the day had been replaced by the more subdued, scattered sounds of the night. He reached the second-floor walkway and turned towards his own apartment. From here, he could see over the walls of the courtyard and out into the wider city. Rome at night was a different world. It was a landscape of deep shadows and isolated pools of light. the flickering torches of wealthy households, the warm glow from the windows of taverns, and the steady, lonely lamps of the night watchmen created a patchwork of light and darkness. The grand marble temples and public buildings on the distant hills were pale and ghostly in the moonlight. They looked less like centers of power and more like sleeping giants, their daytime importance forgotten in the quiet of the night. He walked along the open-air corridor, the night breeze cool on his face. He passed the closed doors of his neighbors. Behind one, he heard the soft crying of a baby. Behind another, the sound of a man snoring. These were the simple, human sounds of a community at rest. He reached his own door, its familiar wooden surface a welcome sight. He took the iron key from his belt, the same key he had used in the pre-dawn darkness to open his shop. It felt like a lifetime ago. He unlocked his door and stepped inside. He was home. The small room was just as he had left it that morning. It was dark and still, a sanctuary of personal peace. He closed the door behind him, shutting out the last of the city's sounds. He slid the wooden bolt into place, a final act of separation from the outside world. Here, in this room, he was safe. He was free from the demands of his clients and the pressures of his work. He placed his lamp on the small wooden table. Its warm, gentle light filled the room, making it feel cozy and welcoming. The simple furniture, the bed, the chair, the chest were like old, familiar friends. He was tired, but he did not go to bed immediately. He had a small ritual to perform first, a way of transitioning from the man of work to the man of rest. He walked to the pitcher of water on the table. It was the same pitcher from which he had taken water to wash his face at the start of the day. He poured some into his bowl and washed his face and hands, scrubbing away the grime and sweat of his long day. The water was cool, and it felt refreshing. As he washed, he felt as though he were washing away the fatigue of his muscles and the worries of his mind. He was cleansing himself, preparing for the purity of sleep. He changed out of his work tunic, the one that smelled faintly of soap, oil, and other people's hair. He folded it neatly and placed it on the chair. He put on a simple, loose-fitting linen garment for sleeping. The clean fabric felt soft against his skin. He was hungry. He took out the small loaf of bread that the baker's assistant had given him. It was still slightly warm. He broke off a piece and ate it slowly, savoring its simple, honest flavor. This was his payment for his final shave of the day, and it was the perfect evening meal. He sat on the edge of his bed, eating his bread and listening to the profound silence of his room. The day had been a complete circle. It had begun in this same spot, in the darkness before dawn, and it was ending here now, in the darkness of the night. He felt a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for his health, for his skill, for the roof over his head. Gratitude for the simple rhythm of his life, a rhythm of work and rest, of service and solitude. He had played his small part in the great drama of Rome today. He had brought comfort, cleanliness, and a small measure of dignity to the men who had sat in his chair. He had listened to their stories, shared in their worries, and witnessed their small triumphs. He had done good work. His conscience was clear. He had earned his rest. His small meal was finished. He drank a final cup of water. The day was now completely behind him. There was nothing left to do but to surrender to the coming sleep. He lay down on his straw mattress, the familiar rustle a comforting sound. He pulled the simple wool blanket up over him, The weight of it was a comfort, a gentle pressure that encouraged his body to relax. He reached over and blew out the flame of the oil lamp. The room was plunged into a soft, deep darkness. His journey through the Roman twilight was over. He had come home, and now, in the stillness of his own small space, he was ready for the final journey of the day, the journey into sleep. The darkness in the room is soft and complete. It is a welcoming darkness, a blanket of peace that covers everything. Lucius lies on his mattress, his body still, his breathing slow and deep. The day has been given over to the night. His eyes are closed, but he is not yet asleep. This is a quiet time for him, a time of gentle transition. His body is at rest, and now his mind must follow. He does not fight his thoughts. He allows them to drift through his mind like clouds across a night sky. He feels the pleasant heaviness in his limbs, the deep, satisfying ache of muscles that have worked hard. It is a good feeling, a reminder that he has used his body for a purpose. He consciously relaxes his feet, his legs, his back, letting go of the last remnants of tension. He can hear the sound of his own breathing, a slow and steady rhythm in the deep silence. In and out, it is the most fundamental rhythm of life, a constant, reassuring presence. He focuses on this sound, letting it guide him deeper into relaxation. The world outside his room has fallen quiet. The bustling, noisy city of the day is gone, replaced by a sleeping giant. The sounds that reach him now are small and distant. The faint hoot of an owl, the whisper of the wind as it moves over the rooftops. These are the sounds of the deep night, the sounds of a world at rest. They are calming, hypnotic. They are the lullaby of the city. He thinks about the concept of stillness. During the day, everything is in motion. People, carts, animals, thoughts, conversations. It is a constant flow of energy. But the night brings stillness. It is a time for the world to pause, to recharge, to heal. He finds a deep comfort in this stillness. His life is one of constant, small movements. The flick of a wrist with a razor, the snip of scissors, the swirl of a brush. The stillness of the night is the perfect counterpoint to the motion of his day. His mind drifts back to his shop, resting in the darkness below. He pictures it in his mind's eye. The chair, the counter, the tools. All of it is still, silent, waiting. He feels a sense of peace, knowing that it is all in order, ready for him when he returns. He thinks of the moon, which he saw from the walkway. It is a silent observer, watching over the sleeping city. It pulls the tides and measures the months. It is a symbol of the great, silent rhythms that govern the world. Rhythms that are so much larger and older than the daily concerns of men. He feels himself becoming a part of this great stillness. His own small identity, Lucius the tonsor, begins to dissolve. He is no longer just a man in a room, but a small point of consciousness in a vast, sleeping world. His thoughts become slower, less distinct. They are no longer about specific events of the day, but are now just fragments, images, feelings, the warmth of a hot towel, the scent of lavender, the shine of a sharpened blade, the smile on a young boy's face. These fragments drift by without judgment, without attachment. They are simply the fading embers of the day's fire. He lets them go, watching them disappear into the darkness. He feels the gentle pull of sleep, a current that is growing stronger. It is like a slow, deep river, and he is ready to let it carry him away. He does not resist. He surrenders to it completely. His breathing deepens, and the space between each breath grows longer. He is on the very edge of sleep, in that magical place between wakefulness and dreams. The last conscious thought that forms in his mind is a simple one. It is a feeling of completeness. The day was a circle, and it has been closed. The tools are at rest, but the stories of the city continue. There are always more quiet lives to witness, more forgotten days to live again, together.